Mesopotamia Part 2. Sumerians, Amorites, Hittites, Assyrians, Chaldeans, and Persians were all major civilizations of Mesopotamia. Though they controlled different areas at different times, they were similar because they were autocratic, meaning a singular ruler served as the head of government and was often a religious ruler. These rulers were often tyrannical and militaristic, who had control of all aspects of people's lives, including law, trade, and religious activity. Traces of these civilizations remain in cultures today, and in the mythologies, religious systems, mathematical innovations, and elements of various languages. Chaldeans. The Chaldean Empire lasted from 625 to 539 BC. The Chaldeans occupied the coastal areas of the Persian Gulf. They invented zodiac signs and practiced astrology. Assyrians. The Assyrians were a warrior society where fighting was a way of life. Because of this, the Assyrians were famous for their fearsome army. The great cities of the Assyrian Empire were Ashur, Nimrud, and Nineveh. Most of our knowledge of ancient Mesopotamia comes from the remains of the library at Nineveh. Amorites. Originally a nomadic people, the Amorites were a Semitic people who occupied the country west of the Euphrates River. The most famous Amorite was King Hammurabi. Hittites. The Hittites had an empire that was centered in modern Turkey and extended into Palestine and Syria. The Hittite Empire reached its peak in 1600 to 1200 BC. While the Hittites were conquerors, they were different from other contemporary cultures in that when they conquered a civilization, rather than forcing their religion on them, they would absorb their gods into their belief system. After a war with Egypt severely weakened them, they were conquered by the Assyrians. Sumer. Sumer was composed of a dozen city-states located in the southern part of Mesopotamia. Each state had its own gods, and the leaders of these states served as the high priests. The Sumerians invented writing and the wheel. They created the first library and the first written laws. The first recorded epic story, the Epic of Gilgamesh, was written in Sumer. Also written in Sumer were the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which were one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. Persians. The Persian Empire was ruled by Cyrus the Great and stretched from the Black Sea to Afghanistan and into Central Asia. After the death of Cyrus, Cyrus I became king in 522 BC. The Persian Empire was its most powerful under King Darius. From 499 to 449 BC, Persia tried to conquer Greece. This is known as the Persian Wars. The battles of the Persian Wars were the Battle of Marathon, where outnumbered Greeks defeated the Persians; the Battle of Thermopylae, where a small number of Spartans held back the Persians for a short time until the Persians defeated them and took over and evacuated Athens; Battle of Salamis, a naval battle where the outnumbered Greeks achieved victory; and the Battle of Plataea, which was another Greek victory, but this time the Greeks outnumbered the Persians, putting an end to the Persian Wars. The Peace of Calais put an end to the fight.